Welcome back to my kitchen, friend. I am trying to get some water to warm up just a little bit. I just pulled out some bacon from the freezer. I'm gonna pop that in the fridge in just a second. Today, I've got some garden projects I wanna get to, but I also wanna make dinner, and I wanna make dinner with a bunch of the produce coming out of the garden. Let's see, I need 350 milliliters of water. We are gonna make some ciabatta rolls, and that's not quite enough water. Perfect. So I just pulled out that bacon from the freezer, and I put some burger patties that I had downstairs up in this upstairs freezer. And we are going to make dinner on the Blackstone, plus we're gonna do some big harvesting today, and we're gonna turn some of the harvest into a delicious side. But I need to get some rolls going because I don't have any rolls right now for burgers. And if you've been with me the last few times, I've tried to make 100% fresh milled flour recipes. I've been struggling just a little bit with kneading my dough. My bread keeps cracking. The gluten strands just aren't forming properly. So I thought what I would do is try a half fresh milled flour recipe, half all-purpose flour recipe. And we are going to adapt the ciabatta roll recipe we made last time together. It was so incredibly delicious, super, super easy. And I thought, because you're not kneading this a ton, you're using a really hydrated dough, this might work better adding in some fresh milled flour. So I wanna get this going first so that we can work with our dough. It can be rising, doing its thing, and we're gonna come in and out working on garden projects, doing harvesting, and then we'll come in and kind of like bring this whole dinner together. I will link this recipe down below for you. It is a all-purpose flour recipe. I'm just kind of adapting it and seeing if I can add some fresh flour to it. So we've got water, olive oil. This recipe is written in metric system. The author of this recipe is someone who competed on the Great British Bake Off. And her recipe is written with grams, which is perfect when using fresh milled flour. So I milled up 148 grams of fresh flour. I am going to use the rest, just all-purpose. And she calls for instant yeast, and I am out of instant yeast, so I'm gonna have to substitute active dry. And so I should have hydrated that in the water before I mixed it in, but it's a little too late now. That's okay. I think it'll still turn out, hopefully. But I thought we'd get this going first so that while this is fermenting, we can be working on other projects outside. These gloves are clean, by the way. I just pulled these out of the laundry because we're gonna need quite a few sets of gloves today, I think, because we've got a lot to get done. So this might just take a little bit longer maybe to rise because I did not hydrate those yeast granules before mixing them in. Oh, I didn't add salt. So you don't need to knead this dough, but I'm going to mix it in pretty well because I forgot to add the salt. I want to make sure that salt is fully incorporated. Okay, that looks good. So I don't have any clean dish towels up here. I forgot to grab those when I was downstairs in the laundry room. So I'm just gonna put a little piece of plastic wrap over the top. And now I'm gonna set a timer for 30 minutes. And I think I can get a project done in 30 minutes while this is waiting for us to do the first stretch and fold. This bacon is now almost thawed. And so I'm gonna get this in the fridge. And then I'm going to grab something and we're going to just start checking tons of projects off that we need to get done outside. And we are going to be making dinner on the Blackstone. I am excited. We got that cleaned up and re-seasoned together. And so today we're just gonna keep on practicing getting comfortable with it. So I've got this so we can actually do some harvesting for our side that we're going to make for tonight's dinner. Dogs want to come out with me. I want to get the garlic processed too, but I only have, which I need to grab my phone because I need to set a timer. Got it. 30 minutes before we need to come in and do our first set of stretch and folds. And I know I can get this project done in 30 minutes, and I can get my tomatoes probably pruned in the second set of 30 minutes. So let's get what I need for pruning the tomatoes before we head out there. This garlic has been drying in here for about 2 weeks, and it's definitely time. And you can see some of these garlics have actually started growing the garlic scapes. So I must not have left those garlic plants quite long enough in the ground for those garlic scapes to grow. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this right here, because I need to trellis up my tomatoes. I have not done that yet this year, so we need this. So maybe I'll just bring down, I was gonna say that basket, but I don't think I'm gonna bring that basket. I also wanna get my strawberry runners planted up today. So does that make sense? We've got our bread going. We have 30 minutes of time. I'm gonna try to get something checked off the list out in the garden in that 30 minutes. Then I'm gonna come and do a stretch and fold. Then I'll go back out in the garden, try to get one more thing done. We'll come and do a stretch and fold and back and forth. And then we'll be done with our projects and we'll go in and we'll finish making up dinner. So that's the plan today. So nippers, trellising, and let's see how far we can get done in these 30 minutes. Here you can see all these strawberry runners. I'm not going to try to plant up every single one, but I want to get quite a few of them planted up. We have been harvesting at least 5 strawberries off this one green stalk every single day. And sometimes we can harvest more than that. That variety of strawberry is called, gosh, what is it called? Seascape, I think. And actually I think I can just get these right in here. And it produces the most beautiful large strawberries. Now they're not as sweet as some of the other varieties, but they're significantly larger than the other varieties. So I want to propagate a ton of the babies to get more plants so that maybe next year I could harvest enough that we could maybe actually get some in the freezer, versus right now we are just eating them fresh and we are able to basically eat our fill of strawberries right now. It is starting to look absolutely beautiful out here. Some of the things we planted the other day together are starting to sprout. Everything is greening up so nicely, and we are going to get a large harvest off these plants right here first thing. And we're gonna make dinner out of these sugar snap peas. We are going to make a fresh green pea salad. We're gonna make a delicious dressing for them, and it's just gonna be so good. I think it's gonna be like no recipe I've ever made using these. The recipe actually calls for sugar snap peas, which none of my sugar snap peas actually germinated. So I've got snow peas here, and we'll have a fall planting of hopeful sugar snap peas. But this salad should be pretty delicious. And I have a lot of them. First, I'm gonna eat this strawberry though. I harvested my first zucchini yesterday and we had that for dinner. It was delicious. So we're finally now at the time where we're gonna be eating out of the garden regularly. So that's pretty exciting. So I'm gonna start kind of planning my dinners and things around what's coming in from out of the garden. Last year in this bed, I had Oklahoma zinnias, and it looks like this is a volunteer Oklahoma zinnia. And so is this one. So I'm pretty excited about that. So this is a prime example where gardening is not for someone who gives up easily, because I planted these 3 times before they sprouted and did anything. If I had given up the first time, I would not get a harvest. And I have found with gardening, the more you plant, the more likely you are to be successful. There's always going to be things that are going to die. There's always going to be things that don't germinate. Persistence is key, and I had to persist to get these, and now I'm really excited because these are one of my favorite things to harvest. So we're going to turn this into a salad unlike anything I've ever made before, but I think it's going to be delicious. Our timer's not gone up, so let's go ahead and harvest a couple more things for tonight's dinner. This bed is looking beautiful to me. This is a volunteer nasturtium. We have some of the African marigolds, and we have tomatoes in here we're going to prune in just a minute, along with some onions. This onion is about to go to flower. For some reason, this variety of onion, half of them have bolted, which means going to flower, and that means their bulb won't get any bigger than what it is. So we're going to harvest it so we can caramelize some onions to go on our burgers tonight, and we need some fresh onions for our salad. So I'm going through and I'm going to grab the ones that have bolted. We probably need 2 to 3 for dinner on the grill. I'm excited to caramelize some onions on the Blackstone. I've never done that before, and I feel like the Blackstone would handle that really well. And then I need probably 1 for the salad. I'm not quite ready to go inside yet because my timer hasn't gone off, so I'm gonna stick these things I've harvested in the shade for now while we start our second project. The next thing I need to do is actually get these tomatoes tamed and trained up. I have not touched these tomato plants that much, and they need, well, they also have some volunteer peas in here. This bed has become just a volunteer haven, which just means plants have planted themselves, and I've kind of just let them do their thing. So I need to get in here and I need to trim all this up, trellis it up, so that when these tomatoes, which I can actually see baby tomatoes on here are ready, I can actually harvest them. And for now, I'm just going to throw these leaves on the ground. I'm going to get a bucket. I forgot to grab a bucket to put them in. But I want to get in here and just lighten the load here a little bit. I don't prune tomatoes like a lot of people do because we don't get that much humidity around here. So I don't prune all the suckers off because I have found for me that really decreases the harvest. A sucker is anywhere, let's see if I can show you easier. I just pruned a bunch so it's harder to show. Here's a prime example. You have the main stem here, and then you've got a branch coming off that's just leaves, and then this is a sucker. This will actually make a whole nother plant. You get fruit off these suckers. You don't get fruit off these branches. So the branches that come off at a 90-degree angle from the main stem, those don't produce fruit. The suckers do, and I want more fruit. Now, if you live somewhere super humid where disease becomes a big issue, it's super important that you prune heavier than I do, but we don't live somewhere super humid in the summer, so I can get away with not pruning as heavily. I'm gonna prune some of the suckers because there's just too much foliage here for this trellis, but for the most part, I'm gonna leave a bunch of them because I will then get more fruit that way. But that's where, you know, learning your climate when it comes to gardening is a big deal, because what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. And really just trying different things and figuring out what works is the best. Now there's too much foliage towards the ground here, so I'm going to clean up this part a lot so that there's just a little more airflow. It's all about airflow with tomatoes. If they can't dry out in the wind because there's too much foliage, disease can just thrive in that environment. Yeah, there's tons of tomatoes that I can't even see in here because we've got too much going on down here. And these tomatoes are actually touching the ground, which is not good because that's when I get bug damage. I will prune some of the suckers because there's just a little too much going on here. Okay, I'm happier with that. So now I'm going to start trellising this up. I bought this last year. It's amazing. Okay. So I don't know if you can tell a difference on that, but I certainly can. Okay, that looks better. Now these zinnias that were in front here have a little bit more space to grow. I'm actually going to trim that one up. So that tomato plant can breathe a whole lot better. These zinnias in front will be able to grow out. These are some nasturtium that self-seeded themselves. And my timer is going to go off in just a minute. So I'm going to just clean up this mess just a bit. I'll just put all these cuttings in a pile, and then when I come back down here, I'll grab a bucket. So they're not just sitting here rotting on my path. All these tomatoes need to be trellised, but I only have 1 minute before my timer goes off. And in that 1 minute, I'm gonna try to get my carrot bed watered, because my carrot bed, I've been trying to water at least every other day, plus what the irrigation is doing, because planting carrots in the summer, you don't want the seeds to dry out before they germinate. My timer's probably gonna go off while I'm watering, but that's okay. If you're with me, we planted this bed out, and that sunflower bed back there, the sunflowers have sprouted and the green beans have sprouted, which is awesome. That's my timer, but the bread's just gonna have to wait a minute. Oh, I see carrot sprouts. So that's good. My watering has helped, I think. There's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. Before I go in, I want to actually harvest some potatoes, because I was thinking it would be good to have potatoes with dinner tonight. So I'm gonna grab these because they should be pretty easy. This is a volunteer potato bed, and I turned the irrigation off to it about a week ago. So it should hopefully be pretty easy to grab these potatoes right here. And then I was thinking we could wash the potatoes and the onions out here before we go inside. So there were some potatoes that were showing, these are purple potatoes, through the dirt, and I didn't want them to go green. So I put this pot over top of it so they wouldn't have access to the sunlight, and I think that worked. Look how beautiful these are. I don't know if you can see the color until we go inside. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is just a volunteer potato. So pretty. Okay, there's more potatoes in here, but this is more than enough for dinner tonight. I think I'm gonna have to come back for those once I have something to put them in, because I don't have anything to put them in right now. So let's go do our stretch and folds, because it's probably been about 35 minutes now since we made the dough. I am going to need to go downstairs and get some towels, because before I even wash these, I need a clean dish towel to put them on. But I really need to get going on the stretch and fold. So let's wash up and get that stretch and fold going. Hands are clean and wet. So I can come over here and do a stretch and fold. We are back in business when it comes to towels. I can never have enough towels in my house. Okay, so let's get some produce washed up. I'll just wash produce as it comes in. First, let's get these onions washed. And I'm gonna cut off the greens. Because these are bolting, not all of that onion is gonna be usable, but there's definitely still be some. The ones that have not bolted, I'll just leave in the ground until they've bolted up to a nice size. I just definitely want to use these ones first. Cut the roots off too. I just did one more stretch and fold. I'm setting a timer for another 30 minutes. I grabbed a bucket so we can put our tomato cuttings in this, and I grabbed this so we can get our potatoes, and we're just getting things done. One thing that I'm doing a little different, I was using a fish fertilizer once a week on the garden, but the next about 3.5 weeks are super, super busy for me. So I want to get some, I have some granular fertilizer that's on my list that I need to get done too. It's not as pressing because I could do that over the weekend, but I want to get some granular fertilizer on these plants because I just don't know if I'll have the time to get out here and use the liquid fertilizer. Look, my Rebecca has sprouted, and then I have some more of the straw flower. So even though this whole bed I ripped out, it was all straw flower, we still have the straw flower we get to enjoy. And this is where I harvested my first zucchini from. And it looks like I have 2 more in here that I'll give another day or 2 to harvest off. So what I'm gonna do now is I need to prune tomatoes. Oh my goodness, look at this. There's a little tomato on there. This bed, the tomatoes down there are definitely being crowded out by some volunteer peas. So I don't know if these tomatoes are gonna do very much, but I think these ones down here will do fine once they get a little bit taller. I overcrowded this bed, and these onions are my Walla Walla Sweets, and they look fantastic, but I don't wanna harvest those yet because they're still growing. I decided as I was walking by the zucchini plant to go ahead and prune it. I went in and brought Dakota inside and did one more stretch and fold. It wasn't quite time. Oh, there's a hummingbird. It wasn't quite time to do a stretch and fold, but I was inside, so I went ahead and did it. So we got those tomatoes pruned up. These tomatoes look so much better than those tomatoes, and it's because they are not being outcompeted by the plants in front. This bed had anemones in it, which are these beautiful flowers, but they're kind of done for the season. And I'm trying to have this be just a huge anemone bed next year. So anytime I see seed pods, I just scatter them on the ground. But what it's done is it has allowed these tomato plants to do just absolutely amazing things because nothing in front of it has been out competing it. But these definitely need to be pruned up. I don't think I'm gonna plant anything in the front of these beds because I really just want these anemone seeds that I've scattered all throughout here to kind of stay here. So this is just basically going to be a tomato bed for the rest of the season. I've done this pruning process one other time. This is only my second time doing this. Need to grab my trellising thing. See, I will take some of these suckers off, but I don't want to take all of them. I finished up those tomatoes. Now I'm going to come here and do this tomato bed. These here are Roma tomatoes, so I definitely don't want to cut the suckers off these. And it looks like I have some baby tomatoes in here. So this is a indeterminate variety, so it only puts off so much fruit. So if I cut the suckers off, I would be really limiting my harvest. But I want to make sure there's good airflow in here, especially because this bed is way too crowded. I have eucalyptus in here, which apparently can inhibit growth. These seem to be doing okay. I didn't know that. And they didn't die over winter because we had such, this is a dahlia. They didn't die over winter because we had such a mild winter. So they survived in this bed. And we'll let them just be. But they probably will die next winter because I'm assuming we're not going to have 2 extremely mild winters in a row. But this will be good to get these pruned back. Especially if you see any yellowing on leaves, I like to get all that off. Any leaves that might be touching the ground, you definitely want to get up off the ground. That's where a lot of the disease from tomato plants comes from, is soil-borne diseases. This bed is done. Now I've got one more bed to do, and this bed is looking a whole lot better after I pulled up 90% of the lettuce. These plants looked really stunted because I had lettuce growing all in here. But I pulled most of that up. I've left enough so we can still eat some, and some of it just grew back anyway. Oop, didn't mean to pull that off. Every year when I do this, I pull green tomatoes off. I think I prune too heavily. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have no tomato harvest. What have I done? And it always ends up being just fine. It's definitely starting to get a little toasty out here though. I think this tomato plant was mislabeled because this is looking more like an indeterminate variety, just how it's growing, but we'll see as the growing season goes on. I got this bed done. I'm just cleaning up any areas that I left debris, and now let's go tackle something else. It's pretty cool for completely free. I mean, this one I don't know if it's edible, but the rest of them are. It's getting a little warm out there. I just checked the weather and it's only 73, but in the sun it is toasty. All right, I think what we're gonna do is I would rather kind of switch gears, and I think I wanna actually get dinner going. We need to check our bread dough. And we might not get to the garlic. And well, I really want to get those strawberries planted because they need to be planted, but I kind of want to get dinner going. So a lot of times in my head, I'm always like, what would be the next most efficient thing to do? The next thing I need to do is do a stretch and fold on this bread, and it's going to be the last stretch and fold. And then I think we'll get our salad ready to go, bake our bread after it's ready, get the Blackstone ready. While the Blackstone's getting ready, we'll plant up those strawberry planters. I think that's what we're gonna do. I can tell it's not quite as bubbly and as liquidy as when I used all 100% all-purpose flour, but I think what I probably should have done is used a little bit more water because I used some fresh milled, which obviously absorbs. I'm just gonna work in some water this way. I just poured a little water in there. But the fresh milled grain obviously absorbs more water than the all-purpose. So it's not quite getting as bubbly, but I think that'll be okay. I think we'll still get some nice buns out of it. I'm gonna turn all of these snow peas into our salad because this is the type of salad, which is my favorite kind of salad, where you're using a crunchy vegetable. Oops, I gotta wash those again. And it does just fine as meal prep too. So we're gonna make this for dinner tonight, but I will probably eat this for breakfast tomorrow and lunch. I have no problem eating salad, especially one that I think is going to turn out as good as this one, for multiple meals. And I love having prep salads. My new favorite thing, I almost always right now have a dense bean salad prepped in my fridge, and I've been eating that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Whatever my family's protein is, I'll eat that with a dense bean salad. But now that veggies are coming in from my garden, I'm going to try to prioritize eating veggies from the garden. So I'm gonna cut these on a bias because it will be pretty. The recipe that I kind of got inspired by for this recipe used sugar snap peas. I don't have sugar snap peas. I think this will be a great substitute. These would be good on the Blackstone as well, but I kind of want something fresh and crunchy. This is going to take me a while. And I think I'm actually going to switch gears because I want to lightly pickle these onions. So let's get that going. So these have started to sprout, which just means they want to produce a flower. So the inside part is creating that flower stalk. So I'm going to cut that out, cut this part off. These are probably not going to be the best to grill. This would probably be even better with red onion, but my red onions are not ready. Those have not sprouted in the garden, so I don't really want to use those. I want those to bulb up and get really big. It's probably enough onion for our salad. So I washed this up. So let's make the dressing real quick. Let me just grab some seasonings and spices. I'm going to do honey, red wine vinegar. The recipe that I saw used maple syrup, but I'm going to use honey. I'm going to grab some olive oil. Pepper, salt, garlic powder. I could use fresh, but I don't feel like grabbing fresh. Let's grab some other things from the fridge. I'm going to start with a spoonful of honey. I'm just going to make basically like a vinaigrette, which I almost always put honey, some sort of mustard, either Dijon or grainy. You could use yellow if that's all you have. I'm going to put salt, a lot of pepper, garlic, all of the red wine vinegar I have in here. And olive oil. When making salad dressing, make sure you use an olive oil you like the taste of, because that flavor is going to come through. So in case I don't, I'm going to pour some into this dish. This would be good on a dense bean salad too. But what I've been really just putting on my bean salads is I just open a can of kidney beans, a can of garbanzo beans, I put olive oil, red wine vinegar, salt, pepper, smoked paprika, and it is delicious. I just want these onions to marinate a little bit in that dressing. And then I put a bunch of parsley from the garden in the dense bean salad. I've been really liking curly parsley better than flat leaf parsley. I always thought flat leaf parsley I liked better because that's what I would watch people on the Food Network use, and I thought it was super fancy. And then I started growing this curly leaf parsley this year, and I really am liking the flavor of it. So I've been using it more than I've been using the flat leaf parsley. Let's see, how is that dough? That dough's actually looking better, even though it looked weird adding that water. It's looking like it's more like ciabatta dough. Get this in here. I have some basil in my fridge. I was thinking basil in this would be really good too. So we're going to chop up all this parsley. I'm going to add a lot because I love it. I think what would be good in this is some cranberries. I want to chop them a little bit smaller, just like a chewy sweetness in this would be fantastic. And I think feta cheese in this would be amazing. I don't have any feta cheese, so I'm not going to add that, but if I did, I would. Just going to chop those just a little bit. Just a little hint of sweetness in there. And then some roasted salted pistachios. For a salty, crunchy bit. Just gonna roughly chop these. Yeah, feta cheese would make this incredible, I think. I mean, I haven't tasted it yet, so I don't even know if it's good, but I think it's gonna be delicious. And like I said, a salad like this that you can prep and you can just let sit in your fridge. These are my favorite kind of salads. Time to give this a try. I want to try to get a bite with a little bit of everything. Onion, peas, pistachio, cranberries. That'll just get better as it chills in the fridge. Sweet, crunchy, vinegary. And I just did a coil fold on this. This is looking a lot better. I just needed a little extra. I'm gonna put this in a little dish and get that in the fridge. I'm gonna clean up a little bit of my mess. And I wanna get that bread laid out to rise, and then we're gonna get the Blackstone ready. Oh, actually, I'm gonna prep these onions to grill, and I probably should get the potatoes ready for going in the oven. I think I'm gonna roast these potatoes in the oven. I have learned, after having a garden for as many years as I have, the best way for me to guarantee going through produce that I took effort into growing and harvesting is to turn them into something delicious and have it prepped in the fridge, like that salad. I know that if I was to wash those peas and just leave them in the fridge, we're less likely to go through them. And so by taking them straight from the garden, bringing them inside, turning them into something delicious that's meal prepped, I almost can guarantee that they will get eaten, which is what I want. I'm gonna go through the effort of growing it. I wanna make sure we eat it. That's what I'm gonna do with these potatoes. I'm going to just turn them directly into something we're gonna eat. This is more potato than we can go through tonight. And this onion, some of it we can't use because it's just too bolted. But this part I can use. I'm definitely gonna cook all of these because I harvested them. We will eat what we're gonna eat tonight, but I'm gonna cook them all. Even though I'm only making 4 burgers, all 4 of these burgers will probably get eaten tonight. So it's not like we're gonna have burgers and potatoes later in the week. But I think what I want to do with the other potatoes is turn the cooked potatoes into a breakfast casserole, because I thawed out some breakfast sausage and we have bacon that we're going to cook up. So whatever bacon we don't use, and I can cook that breakfast sausage, I can take these cooked potatoes and turn them into a breakfast casserole for the weekend. And that way I can kind of guarantee that we're going to eat them. Okay, I'm just getting these onions prepped. Those are gonna be sauteed, and we're gonna put those on top of our burgers. This onion, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in a Ziploc bag, because these are beautiful onion scraps, and I will save that for making broth. Trying to decide how I wanna cut these. Maybe we'll just do chunks. Some of these I'm gonna have to peel. And I'm gonna chop these and then I'm gonna wash them one more time. I like that these are white on the inside. I don't love the purple potatoes that are purple on the inside because I just don't think they're quite as appetizing when they cook up. I just preheated my oven to 400 degrees because we need it that hot for the ciabatta. And I think I'll just cook the potatoes in that as well. I'll cook the ciabatta first and then we'll cook the potatoes. I did wash up the potatoes and I just wrapped them in a towel so that they would get nice and dry. And then I have some bacon grease from cooking bacon. Oh, I guess that's the one thing about cooking bacon on the Blackstone, is how are you supposed to harvest the bacon grease? I had never really thought about that before. So here's some bacon grease. This smells good. I'm just gonna put 3 dollops, and then obviously it's not melted yet, so when it melts, I'll stir it. I'm not gonna add any salt or pepper to this yet because I don't want that to start drawing out any moisture. I'm basically just getting that prepped. And I'm going to get this ciabatta dough ready to go. It looks a lot more jiggly and bubbly now that I added that extra water. These were so good last time I made them. Everyone in my family loved them, and we were using them as bread to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and they made the best peanut butter and jelly. Okay, let's see if I can. I want to roll this out without getting all the air bubbles out. Oh, there's some parsley in it from when I was making my salad. These are going to take a while to bake, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and get these in the oven. Oh, not this one. I want to get these in the one that's already preheating, so those can actually start cooking. We'll season them once that bacon grease melts. Oh, that's not where they are. They are right here. I am going to get these stirred. And this potato I can see looks like it has a little green on it, so I'm actually going to take that one out because you don't want to eat green potatoes. And then I'm going to just stir these, and now I can get them coated in that bacon grease. So I probably should take them out of here, huh? Now I'm going to add seasoned salt, a little extra smoked paprika, and a little extra garlic. That potato is too big. I get these back in the oven. And I think our bread is ready to go in too. All right, I'm gonna set a timer for 20 minutes. While those are cooking, my Blackstone is getting heated up, and I'm going to pot up my strawberry plants. I was going back and forth whether I was gonna do it, but I think I'm just gonna take a few minutes to go ahead and do it. I'm so excited to finally get these set up. I've had them for quite some time, and I think they are the most adorable, cute little containers. I have always kind of struggled with how to propagate strawberries in green stalks, and they just came out with these, I think, the beginning of this year. So I have 2, 4, 6, I think I have 12 of them. And they just came out with these really cute little clips. When I've propagated the strawberry plants in the past, I'll show you what I used to do. And this should be way easier using these little butterfly clips than the way I used to do it. So these are absolutely adorable. So I'm gonna go fill these up with some soil, and then we will get propagating. I have some soil in here, and I'm gonna moisten it and get it in here, and then we're gonna get these strawberries propagated. The garlic is gonna have to wait for another day, but I really wanna get this done. So I'm just moistening this soil. This soil is pretty hydrophobic because it's so dry. So I just wanna get it nice and moistened before I fill up these strawberry cups. I'm just gonna fill each one just like that. And making sure the soil is moist all the way through. I don't want to add this dry soil, this is dripping, into these cups and then water it, because I know I will have a hard time getting water all the way through the soil if I don't moisten it first. One box filled. They have the directions on exactly what to do on the box, which is really nice. Okay, I got all 6 filled to the top with pre-moistened soil. Now we can go hang these on the side of our planters. What I've done in the past worked pretty well is I would take the runners and attach them to another pot. But the problem when you do this though is you then, and I would use one of these landscape staples, is you're then kind of, these 2 pots are now married to each other and you don't have as much wiggle room to move around. Or I would take a runner and stick it into another pot with a landscape pin. But I think this is gonna work a whole lot better. I have so many runners, and I do have some spots in these strawberry planters that have holes because some of the plants just didn't survive. So I will still stick some of these over here, like this strawberry plant didn't survive. So we'll just pull that, and I will, but I'm not gonna use these anymore, which is good. I can't imagine this rusty staple is probably the best thing for the soil. So these just are super cute, and these are little butterfly pins. And these will work so much better than my staples, but I am going to use these as directed as well. So let's see, I'm gonna cut some of these runners. I'm not gonna save all of these runners, but I do wanna save a lot of them. So, I mean, look how beautiful that is. So I'm gonna look for a little bit more established runner. I'm gonna hook this on the side. That hooks absolutely perfectly. Then I'm gonna take this one because it already has some leaves. Let's take that one because it's a little more mature. There's already leaves growing. I'm gonna take my strawberry plant and I'm gonna attach it with our little purple butterfly. So I'm gonna go through and do that 6 more times. I'm going to look for the more mature ones. Let's see. Yeah, that's so much better than my metal staple. So some of these strawberries are absolutely perfect for harvest. So for dessert tonight, we will come out as a family. I just ate 2 of them. I'm trying to resist the urge to harvest anymore because harvesting these is one of our favorite things to do as a family. So I don't want to harvest all of them without the rest of my family. But I have quite a few more of these butterfly pins. I think, let's see. I was gonna actually pin some over here, but I don't wanna do that because I wanna actually move this green stalk to over there. So again, these are some bad strawberries. If I pin them here, these two green stalks have to move together until I have established roots and I can cut them. The first year I tried to propagate strawberries, I just cut these runners and then planted them out, and they all died because you have to actually root them out. These will all turn into baby strawberry plants and they'll grow roots from these little corner pieces, and once they root out, then you can cut them. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do if I'm going to move this one over there, but I will think about that, and maybe over the weekend I will decide. These plants are just starting to put off babies, so maybe what I'll do is take these babies, because I didn't have any room in this green stalk to put babies in pockets, but some of these strawberry plants didn't survive, so I could actually root them out in these empty spots. So we'll see, I'm not sure. Our potatoes are almost done. I'm just cleaning up these plants. And our rolls are done, so I think I can go ahead and get the burgers on the Blackstone because it is now preheated. Our potatoes are almost done. Dinner's gonna come together really quickly, so I just told Josh, get everyone ready for dinner because it's gonna be just a matter of a few minutes. So I'm gonna turn this down because I don't think we need it as hot as it's gonna be. And I decided against using this to cook bacon because I just think all the bacon grease is gonna go straight down there, which is what I don't want. So I'm going to grab a pair of scissors so that I can get these burgers opened. I'm trying a new local farmer to me and butcher shop. So I just bought from them. Normally when I buy meat from local farmers, I buy a half a cow at a time. But the farmer that I have been buying from for years, I love his product. The butcher that he uses does not make burger patties. I love burger patties. And it would be really nice if I buy a quarter of a cow next time not to have to make the patties. And this local farmer, the butcher shop they use, makes patties. So I thought instead of, because I'm not quite ready to buy a half a cow, or I'm gonna do a quarter this time, but instead of buying it, let's try it first. See, these are frozen. I didn't thaw them because I figured I would cook them from frozen. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to go inside and use a knife to kind of cut them apart. Okay, I just used a butter knife to kind of gently pry them apart. I don't know how lean these are. So I have Havarti cheese. This is the only pre-sliced cheese I have in my house right now, and I don't even know if I know what Havarti tastes like, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a taste. And we're just gonna serve these burgers with mayo, ketchup, mustard, the onions, and I don't have any lettuce right now. It was kind of bitter, I tasted it, the stuff I had out there. I don't have any tomatoes, so it's just gonna be onions, condiments, fresh made bread, local bad patties, and some Havarti cheese. Good, mild, delicious. I've bought Havarti before, but I don't know if I've ever just like tasted it. I'm gonna turn this off, and I'm just gonna let these let the cheese melt and I will prepare a bun. These buns turned out perfect. I'll show you what they look like. They're nice and soft. Homemade ciabatta buns are nothing like store-bought ciabatta buns. See how soft they are? They're still a little warm. I was still, though, able to get it nice and bubbly using some fresh milled flour. I'm just gonna have mine with the side salad, but Josh and my son are definitely gonna want a bun. So I'm gonna get the buns prepped and ready to go. I don't have any lettuce or tomatoes. That would be nice, but I don't have that. That's okay. I've got mustard, our favorite ketchup, some mayo, some incredible potatoes. Look at those. I actually have some homemade ranch too in the fridge, so we'll probably have some ranch with our potatoes. Delicious. So I have this turned off. I'm gonna have Josh make up his bun, and then we'll come get a hot burger patty off the Blackstone. We are most definitely gonna be eating outside tonight. I'll move that umbrella so it's underneath or over top of the table. And then we have our salad, which looks absolutely stunning. And I've snacked on a few of these potatoes, and oh my goodness, they are delicious. I have no idea what variety of potatoes these are because I planted them probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 years ago. So they're just volunteered themselves, but they are so good. This looks absolutely amazing and tastes amazing. Crunchy, cold, crisp, fresh, savory, and delicious. I will show you what my bowl is going to look like. I have some ranch, like I said, in there. I'll probably dollop on mine. I'll probably just have potatoes, some of that salad, and a burger patty, and that will be mine. Josh will definitely eat one of these buns. My son will definitely eat one of these buns, and I think they're going to be a huge hit. I'm super happy with how the crumb looks. It looks fantastic. So that was definitely a win. So I will link that recipe down below. Thank you so much for being here. If you're interested in those strawberry cups, I can link those as well. I want to say thank you for being here as we got so much done in the garden. We're about to sit down outside, enjoy this delicious dinner. And if you want to watch more videos of mine, I'll pop them there. You can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.